YNW Melly has been facing legal trouble for years, with a death sentence possibly looming over him. Things have never been more serious, but it's his recent footage that's caught everyone's attention and gone viral, especially because of how he looked. While he could certainly use a barber, that's not the reason fans are concerned about this footage. Let's break it down. In February 2019, YNW Melly, whose real name is Jamal Demons, was arrested and charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder. Authorities claimed Melly and his friend, YNW Slime, real name Corland Henry, allegedly murdered their 2 friends and staged the scene to look like a drive-by shooting. It's a serious and shocking case. Fast forward to June 2023, and Melly finds himself back in the public eye, but not for music. Instead, it's for his high-stakes trial. Melly pleaded not guilty, maintaining his innocence. However, in a dramatic turn of events, the judge declared a mistrial. But this isn't the end. Melly returned to court this fall. If found guilty, he could face the death penalty. It was during his latest appearance that things took a turn. While he smiled for the cameras, it was a particular moment during his trial last year that caught people's attention. He was seen praying and then blowing a kiss. The mother of one of the victims found this act disrespectful and walked out of the courtroom.
Walked out because I don't what you praying for, because you sitting over there like you don't got no remorse. Like every time I walk in, you smiling. This ain't the time for that. This case is sad. This is serious.
Recently, YNW Melly's attorneys filed a motion to exclude certain phone conversations from the trial. These conversations between YNW Borland, Melly's co-defendant, and his girlfriend, Juna Molina, are argued to be irrelevant by the defense. According to court documents obtained by Hip Hop DX, the defense claims these chats are just small talk with no value to the case and should be considered inadmissible hearsay, meaning they shouldn't be used against Melly. Now, let's talk about Melly's current situation. He's been moved from Broward County Jail to the Paul Rain Detention Center in Pompano Beach, Florida, a maximum security facility where inmates face limited movement and visitation through a non-breakable window using a built-in phone. It's a much tougher environment. In January, Judge John J. Murphy III made it clear that he wanted to move the trial forward, setting a potential start date of March 5th, or as soon as the case could be heard. The judge expressed frustration over the delays, noting that Melly has been locked up for over 550 days awaiting trial. But as of now, the trial still hasn't started. This is some serious drama, especially with the death penalty on the table. Melly, a kid from Gifford, Florida, was just beginning to blow up a month before all this went down. At 19, Melly dropped his mixtape, We All Shine, featuring Kanye West, and his track Murder on My Mind had just hit gold. By January 2022, it was certified 6 times multi-platinum. In October 2018, Melly and his crew, YNW Sack Chaser, YNW Juvie, Christopher Thomas Jr., and YNW Borland, were hanging out at a recording studio. Later that night, Williams and Thomas were found dead. Borland drove them to the hospital, claiming a drive-by shooting, but it seemed suspicious, especially since Melly and Borland appeared in a music video the next day like nothing had happened. Jump to February 13, 2019, when Melly was arrested and the charges were severe. The police claimed Melly pulled the trigger, while Borland tried to cover it up. If convicted, Melly faces life in prison, or even the death penalty. Despite this, Melly stays firm on social media, maintaining his innocence and saying that although rumors and lies are circulating, he believes God is with him. This post was later deleted. Since his arrest, Melly has received immense support from the hip-hop community, including a heartfelt shout-out from Future on Melly's 20th birthday. Future posted, "Free my little brother Melly" on Instagram. However, YNW Sack Chaser's family is adamant that Melly is responsible, and they made a statement to TMZ. YNW Melly's situation took another intense turn when YNW Sack Chaser's family made a strong statement, fully backing the state's decision on the case. They declared their support for the death penalty if the state decides it's warranted, stating, YNW Melly should feel the exact fear and panic he so viciously and consciously brought upon his innocent victims. That's some heavy emotion coming from the victim's family. As for the evidence, during the initial trial, the state presented digital evidence in the form of an Instagram exchange between Melly and Pay Gambino. On October 26, 2018, Pay asked if Melly was okay, and Melly allegedly responded, "I did that, sheesh." However, Melly's defense attorney, Stuart Adelstein, argued that Melly usually spelled that as that in his messages, trying to suggest the exchange wasn't an admission of guilt. Prosecutor Christine Bradley countered this, pointing out that Melly did use the conventional spelling in some messages, and even in his song lyrics, where he had fixed the spelling. Further evidence against Melly came in the form of surveillance footage. It showed Melly and his crew getting into a Jeep before the fatal shooting. Later, when the police found the vehicle hours after the shooting, they discovered that Williams and Thomas had died from gunshot wounds. Ballistic analysis indicated that the shots had been fired from inside the vehicle, specifically from the area where Melly had been sitting. Although no gun was recovered and no gunpowder residue was found on Melly, the evidence pointed toward an internal shooting rather than a drive-by.
And my determination was that this is not a drive-by shooting, and it's based upon this picture here, which is a very good picture to describe it. Shooter is at a stationary position when all but one of these rounds are going.
At one point during the trial, the prosecution called in gang expert Danny Polo to testify about Melly's supposed connection to the G-Shine Bloods. Polo claimed that Melly was heavily involved with the gang, pointing out that he knew all the signs and used gang-related language in his messages. This testimony aimed to show that Melly's actions were influenced by gang affiliation, adding another layer to the prosecution's case.
And what does hurt mean?
Hurt is a term used by members of G-Shine to refer to each other. It's like calling each other bro or dude, same thing.
The state presented photos and text messages to support the claim that the murders could be gang-related, though the specific benefit to the gang wasn't explained. They also used phone records to track the movements of Melly and his co-defendants' phones on the night of the murders. FBI Special Agent Brendan Collins showed that the phones pinged near the crime scene, although he couldn't conclusively confirm they were together at all times. Miramar Police Detective Mark Moretti clarified that no phones were directly at the crime scene, as Melly's phone had its location services turned off. Surveillance footage traced Melly's movements, including when he was picked up by rapper Fredo Bang after the incident. BSO DNA analyst Kurt RHS tested several items found in the Jeep, such as a water bottle and a spent shell casing, but none matched Melly's DNA conclusively. However, potential DNA from Melly was found on the rear passenger side door handle, where the shots were thought to have been fired from. In a bold move, Florida prosecutors plan to introduce an extensive collection of Melly's lyrics as evidence in his upcoming retrial. According to the Miami Herald, Broward County prosecutor Alexander Buckaloo filed a document listing 55 songs, 18 audio files, 14 YouTube videos, and 4 album covers to be included as evidence. Among these, Melly's biggest hit, Murder on My Mind, could play a significant role, as it is seen as eerie given the circumstances. The prosecution hopes to use his lyrics to reveal Melly's state of mind and potential motives. Using rap lyrics as evidence in criminal trials is a controversial tactic. While these lyrics can't be the sole basis for a conviction, they can be prejudicial. Jurors may be swayed by biases, often racially motivated, against rappers, potentially leading them to make decisions based on stereotypes rather than hard evidence. This tactic mirrors the YSL RICO indictment, where Young Thug's lyrics were used to implicate him in multiple criminal acts. The case highlights the delicate balance between artistic expression and its use in criminal prosecution. Engaging in a pattern of illegal activities to acquire money and property, rap lyrics from Grammy-nominated artists, including a posthumous Juice WRLD single, are being controversially used as evidence in the cases of 28 defendants. 6. including star Young Thug, are set to stand trial. The trial began on November 27th in Atlanta and is expected to last most of the year. This isn't the first time rap lyrics have been introduced in court. In 2012, a Louisiana judge allowed some lyrics from 187 in Boo's murder trial. When Bobby Shmurda faced gang-related charges in 2014, his hit Hot was heavily scrutinized, though it wasn't formally cited as evidence. Shmurda told Vulture, "I'm guilty for where I live. I was never part of no gang." In 2019, prosecutors used lyrics from the late Draco the Ruler to accuse him of murder. And that same year, 6699's lyrics were brought up during his gang-related trial. Although Boo and Draco the Ruler were acquitted, critics argue that using rap lyrics as evidence can unfairly sway juries and disproportionately affect Black and brown defendants. When Maryland's highest court ruled in December 2020 that rap lyrics could be used in a murder trial, veteran attorney Dina Leott told Variety that the decision was blatantly racist and set a dangerous precedent. Last year, Jay-Z and other prominent artists supported Senate Bill S-7527, a New York bill known as Rap Music on Trial, which aims to recognize rap as artistic expression and limit the use of lyrics in criminal cases. The proposed legislation argues that using rap lyrics in court turns trials into instruments for suppressing provocative speech and undermines the principle that a case should be judged on facts, not on a perceived propensity to commit a crime. The bill passed in committee in late January and is currently awaiting a vote in the Senate and Assembly. State Senator Brad Hillman, who sponsored the bill, told Fox 5 NY Meow that it is a necessary step to protect freedom of speech and ensure fairness in the legal process.
No one ever thought that Johnny Cash was going to shoot a man in Reno just to watch him die, or Bob Marley shot a sheriff but spared a deputy. But that's exactly what prosecutors are trying to convince juries about across this.
The legislation unveiled in November 2020 took a significant step forward on Tuesday, October 12, 2021. When it successfully passed through the Senate Codes Committee, marking its initial move toward a full Senate vote. Jay-Z has also voiced his support for this issue. His lawyer, Alex Spiro, emphasized that this is something important to Jay-Z and all the other artists working together to bring about change. "This is a long time coming. Mr. Carter is from New York, and if he can lend his name and his weight, that's what he wants to do," said Spiro, a partner at Quinn Emanuel Cart and Sullivan. Spiro co-wrote the letter with University of Richmond professor Eric Nielsen, who authored Rap on Trial, along with University of Georgia law professor Andrea Dennis. Spiro noted that he and Jay-Z, who have previously fought for racial diversity in arbitration panels leading to national reforms, see the proposed legislation as a bellwether that could influence other states. "By changing the law here, you do a lot of good for the cases it affects, but you also send a message that progress is coming. We expect it will be followed in a lot of places," Spiro said. Fat Joe also voiced his support in 2022, stating to Rolling Stone, "Our lyrics are a creative form of self-expression and entertainment, just like any other genre. We want our words to be recognized as art rather than being weaponized to get convictions in court. I hope the governor and all the lawmakers in New York take our letter into consideration, protect our artistic rights, and make the right decision to pass this bill." Before his tragic murder in 2021, Los Angeles rapper Draco the Ruler experienced this practice firsthand. Despite being acquitted in the 2016 murder of a 24-year-old man, Draco spent 3 years in prison as prosecutors built their case around lyrics from his song, Flex Freestyle. Although investigators agreed he didn't pull the trigger, they used his lyrics to argue he brought armed associates to target another rapper, RJ, who wasn't even at the party. "I didn't even think they could do that," said Draco. "I heard about them doing it before, but it was just the way they were doing it, how they were using it against me. It didn't make any sense. It was just crazy." Senator Bailey, who supported the new bill, explained that it aims to prevent such practices in New York by requiring a strong factual connection between the art and the facts of the case, rather than allowing creative expression to form the basis of a criminal theory. Presuming a defendant's guilt based solely on musical genre or creative expression is antithetical to our foundational rights and perpetuates the systemic racism embedded in the criminal justice system through discriminatory conflations of hip-hop and crime, Bailey said in a statement. While pre-trial proceedings in the case against YNW Melly have dragged on, with Melly's legal team pushing for his release on bond, the prosecution has vehemently opposed this, citing the severity of the charges, has been subjected to the harsh realities of pretrial incarceration for too long. These supporters argue that Melly, like anyone else, is entitled to a fair trial and should not be treated as guilty before being proven so. They believe that the delays are unjust and that Melly's continued detention without trial is a violation of his rights. On the other hand, critics point out the severity of the charges against him, including the possibility of the death penalty if convicted, and argue that the legal system is simply following the necessary procedures in ensuring that justice is served. They emphasize the gravity of the situation and the importance of a thorough investigation to avoid a potential miscarriage of justice. The case has sparked widespread debate on the issues of pretrial detention, the fairness of the justice system, and the treatment of high-profile defendants. For Melly, the ongoing delays in his trial have had significant consequences, both professionally and personally. While his supporters continue to fight for his release, the legal system remains firm in its stance, and only time will tell how the case unfolds. Judges are typically cautious when deciding whether to grant bond. The potential risks posed by releasing someone facing such severe charges are taken very seriously. In Melly's case, the judge's denial of bond highlights the perceived threat he could pose to the community, as well as the possibility that he might attempt to flee before trial. The severity of the charges, coupled with the media attention surrounding his case, only adds to the complexity of the decision. For critics of the decision, Melly's continued incarceration without a trial raises concerns about fairness, especially in light of the prolonged delays. They argue that the legal system should move faster and allow him the opportunity to be granted bond while awaiting trial, particularly as he has not yet been convicted. On the other hand, supporters of the victims and their families stress the importance of keeping Melly behind bars to ensure public safety and maintain the integrity of the legal process. This case is also shedding light on broader issues related to the criminal justice system, particularly the treatment of high-profile defendants and the conditions of pretrial detention. Advocates for criminal justice reform see Melly's case as an opportunity to push for changes to bail policies and highlight the challenges individuals face while incarcerated before their trials. The debate surrounding Melly's situation is far from over, and as the legal process continues, the tension between the rights of the accused and the safety of the community remains a central point of contention. The decision to deny bond is deeply influenced by the perceived risks associated with the defendant's release. In Melly's case, the prosecution's strategy, the strength of the evidence, and concerns about public safety likely played a role in the court's decision to keep him in custody. By keeping him behind bars, the prosecution gains leverage, which could lead to a plea deal or cooperation from the defendant. This strategy is often employed in high-profile cases, where securing a conviction without the unpredictability of a jury trial is a priority. The media and public perception also heavily impact decisions in such cases. In Melly's situation, the scrutiny from both the public and the media amplifies the pressure on the court. Granting bond to someone accused of such serious charges could lead to backlash, while denying bond may be seen as a commitment to justice, despite the potential for it to be perceived as punitive. A comparison to Suge Knight's case further illustrates the complexities involved. Knight's legal team presented strong arguments for bond based on his health issues and ties to the community, but the prosecution's counter-arguments about his violent past and risk to public safety ultimately led to a high bond amount. Despite attempts to reduce it, Knight remained in custody throughout his trial. In Melly's case, the lack of a clear resolution continues, leaving many to question the fairness and impact of prolonged pretrial detention. As the case unfolds, The combination of legal strategy, media attention, and public opinion will continue to shape the outcome, with no definitive end in sight for now.